just wanted to speak real quick on the current atmosphere that's out there, especially in the entertainment forefront. So last night, Grammys. Now, let me go ahead and be clear. I didn't actually watch the Grammys. No, I was watching the X Files because it's the X Files. But I did go back, and everybody was talking about Kendrick Lamar's performance. I went back and I watched his performance, and it was visceral, and it was unbelievably unashamed, absolute art. It was profound. It made you think, and it was strong, and it was emotionally charged, and it was hard to watch. I'm not going to say that I fully understood everything that he said. It was hard at some moments to catch his lyrics, so I definitely went and looked up the lyrics to the songs that he was singing, and I also looked up actual lyrics, because apparently he did a freestyle at the beginning of his performance. And I went back and I watched it a couple more times, like about 5 or 6 times, to really try and understand everything that he was saying, and fully be able to appreciate and take in all of the visual aspect of his performance. Now, Kendrick on one side and Beyonce on the other, and I'm seeing an awful lot of people saying that Beyonce's performance and her song are not really some kind of call to revolution, and they're comparing it to Kendrick's. And here's my thing. On the one hand, you have apples, and on the other hand, you have oranges. They're not saying the same thing, although they're definitely putting out a message that's very important that needs to be said. I think it's unfair to hold up some sort of scale of balance to Kendrick Lamar and Beyonce. Both of them gave very different types of performances. Beyonce gave a performance in a song that saluted pride in Black history, in the Black person, in the Black experience in this country, and very much to Black women. Beyonce is a feminist, and not in some sort of dirty word. She's always been supportive of the traditional views of the original Black Panther Party, not the new crap. She's very much made it so that if you paid attention, you got it. But she's not one of those celebrities that's always vocal. Kendrick's albums consistently deliver a message, and it's a very different type, and it draws constant attention to the injustices that face young Black men and Black men historically, and just Black people historically in this country, and it is still consistent and visceral today. So on the one hand, you have one song and one performance that is uplifting Black people and saying, don't hide and don't try and conform, and don't be ashamed of who you are in this country as a Black person. On the other hand, you have another performance which is sitting up and saying, no, you shouldn't forget these horrible things that have been done to you. He references his own personal soulful death, marking the date of when Trayvon Martin was killed. He's basically saying, I am every Black man in this country, because many Black men can relate to the same experiences across the board. There is racial profiling. There is this fear that is constantly put out there that Black men are scary, that Black women are loud and attitudey and all of these things. And he's pointing up and holding this mirror up to the hypocrisy of the media, and also in history and society's expectation that on the one hand you're fine with celebrating hip-hop music and rap music, and you like our style and you like our culture, and you want to emulate it in every way possible, from our hairstyles to how we wear our clothes to how we sing our songs and sing our lyrics and rap our lyrics and bring everything together. It's fine to cherry pick what you want, but then on the other side you want us to portray all these negative things. But when we try and be positive, now all of a sudden, oh no, this is the wrong platform for that, it's wholesome and I'm uncomfortable. Sorry you're uncomfortable, but look at the generations and decades in this country that an entire group of peoples have been made uncomfortable by you. And at this point, I'm not only just talking about Black Americans. Look at the uncomfortableness that has been the legacy for Native Americans. They have to literally look at all these college teams and pro teams that symbolize Native Americans, and they're not a mascot, they're people. The fact that in 2016 the Redskins still have the exact same logo and the exact same name of their team. No Native American calls themselves the Redskins. It's a very derogatory term. You might as well have made a team called the Coons. They're not a mascot, but yet they're told by, your diehard fans of any color, oh, you're just being too sensitive. It's not that serious. Really? Really? What if it was you? Seriously? No. There's this entire atmosphere of, people who they're uncomfortable because they don't get it. Well, maybe it's not for you. Kendrick Lamar put a message out there that's for black people. It's not for white people. It's not for Asians. It's not for, anybody else. It was a message for black people. Beyonce put out a message that let black people know it's okay to be you. It's okay to like your Red Lobster and your cheddar biscuits and your hot sauce and your baby's hair and your hair, and it's two different messages that are both needed to be heard. But the fact that anybody would sit up there and try and compare the two and say one is not good enough compared to the other. They're not doing the same thing. They're not saying the same thing. They're saying something that needs to be said, but they're giving two very different messages. And overall, I think most would need to sit back and really pay attention to the overall message. This is not just a call to awareness for just black Americans. This is a call to awareness for every minority that's been overlooked. People got all up in arms about, Oscars so white. Well, they are. And that's not just pointing out the fact and the lack of nominations and in the presence of black actors, black actresses, black directors, writers, any of those categories. There's a serious lack of diversity across Hollywood in every other minority. I don't know too many people who could literally name 5 male Asian actors that are not Jet Li, Jackie Chan, Ken Watanabe, Takeshi Kaneshiro, and Bruce Lee. Can you name some others? That's not a martial arts film? How about any actor who looks like they're out of the Middle East or Mediterranean, Indian, Arab, Pakistani, Turkish, Iraqi, Egyptian, Syrian, any of them? Bet you can't, because they're not recognized. There's no platform for them. There's no platform for them. There's hardly much of a platform. If it hadn't been for the Latin Grammys, a lot of actors and actresses, people didn't even know they had Latin heritage until they stood up and said, oh yeah, I am. But a lot of them also changed their names. So that says something about Hollywood. No, there is a severe lack of appreciation of the things that make us different. And differences are not a horrible thing. The fact that people are making it seem like you shouldn't tell the history as it happened is somehow ripping a band-aid off. If there's still a band-aid there, then the wound never healed. Kendrick Lamar's performance, if you don't get it, I suggest you look up the lyrics to the song, step back and look at it as the piece of art that it is. Don't get defensive. It's not an attack on necessarily anybody. If anything, it's more of a recount of his life experiences as a black man, as he is in this country and in the industry. So take it for what it is. It's a performance, but not every performance is geared solely towards white people feeling comfortable.